Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for another Street Fighter Duel video. So maintenance has been, the updates dropped, and we're obviously getting the video here that's going to be the trial realm, but I just noticed something as I was finishing up. If you notice at the top, limited time wishes, we've already changed that over. We've got Raphael and Donatello sitting up there. If you click it though, you can't actually see anything to do with Raphael or Donatello. It's still showing Leonardo and Michelangelo, but the good news is that should obviously set some of you people at ease who are still worried we weren't going to be able to use those tickets. It's pretty clear they're just going to use the exact same system, but they're just going to change the skin on it so that it's Leonardo and Raphael. So I wouldn't worry about it. Sorry, Donatello and Raphael. I wouldn't worry about it. Shouldn't have been worried in the first place because it tells you can use the tickets, but you can kind of see there, they're just going to change the units who are sitting in that exact same pool, right? So let's jump in and start looking at who was used to do these trial stages. Right, so first up, this stage, the left hand side. Quick warning for this stage, you basically can only tie speed on this. So that means sometimes when you start, you will go second, sometimes when you start, you will go first. So what I would suggest to do, if you start off and you go second, maybe quit out, go back in, because getting to go first can be a huge difference maker, okay? So this is the team that we used to run this stage here. Again, you'll see, because we can only tie speed, the best thing I could really do was match what they were doing, okay? And you can see that's the combo. I went first. A few times before this, I went second. Just had to go back in, make sure you get to go first, because not going first obviously can be something that can completely cost you the fight, okay? So this is team one. Again, the two units that are putting in most of the work here is Chun-Li and Cammy. When it went down to Chun-Li Cammy, Decapre, it automatically defaults to trying to make the combo start with Decapre, so just make sure you switch it over to Chun-Li, because then you can do a 2-hit or a 3-hit combo, whereas if you leave it on Decapre, because Chun's not got a C1, it'll just stop dead in its tracks. You've got to remember to do that, it is very important, okay? So, we're going to look at this next team here, and you see how we got on. It's a bit easier because you can obviously use Zangief, and you can also use Flameadon. When you get to use those two characters, it's usually not too difficult to do these stages. I like to use Cammy, I'm going to call her Cammy all the time, you know that? Decapre's super quite often, to be honest, because it's pretty good. I must admit, our super is pretty decent. Pretty decent. I've had a look at the units kit. I'm going to go over it in its own video. I'm not 100% yet, but I think I've got a feeling just because of how her kit is, I actually think she's going to be good for bossing. We seem to see that a lot these days. I guess people would probably rather have units that were good for PvP or something else now. But yeah, we're going to take a look at the next team now, basically. Okay, so the team lineup for this one. I can't remember. I do not think there is a single combination that you can put together that lets you go first. Maybe you can get a speed tie, and I just didn't RNG it for long enough, but at no point could I find a way to get to go first on this battle. So I just had to rely on Honda being a bit of a meat shield, to be honest, which sometimes is harder than others depending on how often the team crits, because round one they can just wipe them, but not all the time. So again, your mileage may vary a little bit, you may have to run RNG a little bit, but if Honda survives the first round, I feel like it's usually going to get you the clear. This trial, it's difficult to call. When it comes down to these units, if they're built for bossing, then I feel like they don't always perform as well in trials, which I'm not fully committing to saying that I think that she is a bossing unit, right? But the way her kit works is she's got like flame damage, the more stacks of this special mechanic she's got that we'll talk about later that she has, the more damage she's going to do, the more true damage she's going to do. That in itself tends to lend a character to longer fights. And obviously when you're doing PvP stages and stuff like that, you don't tend to get longer fights. So realistically, a character who's going to perform better in a later stage of a battle after doing a certain number of attacks is quite clearly geared more towards longer stages. So I feel like she is a bossing unit, but again, I do need to read through her kit a little bit more to be sure. Right, so here's the second to last team on this fairly annoying trial realm, I think anyway. Usually ones I find difficult, people jump up and say, what are you talking about? It wasn't hard at all. Usually when they're a bit harder, if it's because the unit's a bossing unit, I tend to try to not use the unit that much and just use other units. I didn't do that this time, so maybe that's why I found it a bit more difficult, because I was insisting that I wanted to use Decapre. But again, I don't think she's bad. I really don't think she's bad. I actually think she might be pretty damn good, especially because of how her kit functions. I just think, I can't help but feeling it's just, she is a bossing unit. I just can't help feeling that. Which is why I kind of wish we could get different trials. I wish they did a new trial just for boss units where maybe you have to, instead of beating 6 stages, maybe you've got to beat 6 score thresholds or something against a boss. Maybe you need to beat multiple bosses, I don't know, but I think there should be a different type of trial for different units. I mean, that's nothing new, I've been saying that forever. Like, I just feel like, I don't know, I feel like these trials can sometimes be detrimental to the unit, because for one, if I don't think they're a good gauge of a unit for a start, because if you put like not the best enemies out there, then a trial's super easy and people think, wow, this unit's amazing, I just absolutely blazed through that trial. But yeah, of course you blazed through that trial because you had teammates that could guarantee you would go first all the time. You had teammates who could interrupt. You know, you had all these things that made that trial easy. You had not so bad enemies, you know. But then you have other trials where you've got slow units, you can very rarely ever go first. You're fighting against some of the hardest units in the game and people walk away thinking, wow, that unit sucks because it was hard to beat the trial. And it's like, well, I mean, yeah, because they totally stacked the deck and made the trial way harder. I don't always get it, right? It doesn't always make a lot of sense, because while I suppose you don't really want them to put out trials that just always make units look good, because then what's the point in them, you know, really? But I don't think this unit in particular, any unit that has like build up, the more they attack, the more damage they'll do type stuff, I just think that they're never really suited to these type of trial events, and for them they should definitely have a secondary method of testing them, which would obviously be bosses, like I said. But anyway, enough waffle. That's your guide. I'm Hayzink. I'll be back on the next video. Peace.